What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the Play the Fight Song College Football Show. Not everybody's here. The studio's a little light, Jake. Jake's on mute.
Where'd everybody go?
I know. It's a two-man crew. A little Kobe Shaq action for episode 150 of Play the Fight Song. Thanks for tuning in. Tonight's main topic will be the NFL draft. We'll cover different categories, segments, questions around the NFL draft that we want you to be a part of the conversation. So make sure you're dropping comments in the live chat below. And if you're watching this on replay, feel free to comment down below. We always like to interact with you afterwards. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button to kick off tonight's show. We appreciate you being here more than you know. Jake's with me tonight. JP and Reese are away. JP's getting married in 2 days. So, woo, yay, JP and
Not
love.
an excuse.
Not an excuse. I mean, 2 days. It sounds like there's quite some time to sit down for an hour and talk a little college football in the NFL draft. But maybe that's just me. And then Reese, I'm not even sure what Reese is doing. I think he may have just taken the night off.
He's working.
Oh, he's working, man. All right. That's even a better excuse than the wedding, to be honest with you. At least he's getting paid and not having to pay for it. But how you doing tonight, Jake? You ready to talk a little NFL draft?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it's going to be fun to get the gang back together for JP's wedding. Congratulations, Jordan. It is going to be fun to celebrate. But before then,
for Reese's birthday.
Oh, yeah. Reese's birthday. Was that Monday?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Yeah. Happy belated birthday, Reese. Man, it's just a busy week here at Play the Fight Song. And they're just gone. And we can't wish them best of luck in their endeavors. How
about whatever. JP taking Reese's birthday week away from him and stealing it and also making it
pretty selfish? I would never. When I schedule my wedding, I won't schedule it on anybody's birthday month. So
that's quality friend right there.
Yeah.
But shout out to JP. That's what happens when you don't join the show. But they'll be back probably next week. Maybe not for JP, but the week following. And we will talk more college football. So reminder, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You're going to want to be a part of this preview season right around the corner where we will break down all 138 FBS teams in college football. We'll give you a preview. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button. You're going to be wanting to be tuned in for that. All right, Jake, let's talk a little college football to kick things off before we get into the NFL draft. Let's go into recent news. Recent news is a little bit lighter this week. We did want to talk the scheduling. You have the most beef with the college football schedule. All off season long, you've been playing this thing. They've come out and talked about the idea of college football, the first official weekend being that weekend before Labor Day, which would be a little earlier. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's kind of been something I've been proposing for, I think, the longest time. I've been a big proponent of going week 0 as your first official week of the year. And I think we can finally get rid of the week 0 title if we actually move forward with that. But it's an opportunity for teams to take a double bye or like have 2 byes during your season, which kind of makes sense because not that I need to give them any excuses, but your teams like Stanford, your Big Ten teams, USC, UCLA, who travel, across the country multiple times a year, give them a double bye week or like 2 byes within the middle to rest up, all that stuff. I don't really care about that necessarily, but giving yourselves 2 weeks of college football, just college football from that, 3rd week of August to the last week of August before NFL really starts the following week after Labor Day. I think it's a great opportunity for the sport. You can showcase some of your best games in that window. And I mean, this podcast is never going to complain about the season starting 1 week early, but I do think it's a bigger picture kind of thing more than just them proposing starting the week earlier. I think this is one of the first steps into doing a extended playoff or extending the playoff. I think I've went on this show before and saying, if you start a week earlier than the normal Labor Day weekend, you can get rid of conference title games. You can make it a 16 or a 24 team playoff, and you can start that first round the first week of December instead of your conference title games. I have been a proponent of, I hate conference titles to this point. I don't think they really have a purpose really anymore, other than like the Big 12 fan in me. I get to see who makes the playoff because it is an automatic qualifier out of that league. But your Big Tens and your SEC, like Alabama still gets in last year after losing. So I'm ready to get rid of those. I would rather watch meaningful playoff games the first week of December. Personally, I don't think I don't think you'd find many college football fans that wouldn't disagree. I haven't found many college football fans that are big fans of conference championships. Like, I haven't seen anybody out there like, you got to keep a conference title. These are 16 teams leagues now. Like, what does it matter?
I've always been somewhat of a stand up for the conference titles, just because I think there's so much history rooted in these schools on conference championships. But the way the sport is going and these super leagues being combined, it feels like it's almost inevitable to have to rule them out at some point, and then you're just going to be playing for standings rather than a trophy at the end of the year, especially with the weird tiebreakers. I mean, if they can fix the tiebreakers,
Yeah.
fix a lot.
I just don't know how you do, though. Like, what do you do? Point differential and, I guess head-to-head wins
I think you have to go away
first.
with divisions. Obviously, there is still divisions out there in some of these power conferences. That obviously helps, and you just take the top 2 teams. But then at what point do you stay away from the rematches? Yeah, it's an entire mess. So I think going back to the main topic, though, of the season moving earlier, and you mentioned schools that have to travel tremendous lengths now with the way the conferences are set up. I think one school that doesn't get enough credit for the amount of travel that they do is Stanford.
Yeah.
In the ACC, but then they also kind of get discredited. They also fly to Hawaii a majority of week zeros,
Mm-hmm.
like they did it last year. I think maybe they're hosting Hawaii
Yeah,
this year. I can't remember that game,
Yep.
but still, like that's longer than majority, if not all, of United States flights. If you are going across the island, even from Stanford, where Palo Alto, I think it's still 4.5 hour
Yeah.
flight. Like
Yep.
those guys are grinding out there. Now they've got a lot to figure out, and hopefully Andrew Luck can get that program right. They got a new head coach and all that, but the travel definitely helps. The double bye would definitely help teams like that, like a Cal, like a Stanford that are playing in the ACC and consistently traveling to the East Coast throughout the conference season. That would play a major role. And I agree. I don't think we'll ever complain about college football season being earlier and being on the main stage before the NFL starts. Now, that's not a big deal for us because the NFL still
Yeah.
takes the back seat.
Yep.
But for the national scale and getting eyes on the sport, having the extra week is so big because week 0, I mean, think about the slates. Like, you kind of try and find those games in week 0 at the moment that you're like, that's must-see TV. It's usually the Thursday before week 1
Right.
that
Yeah.
you're like, all right, there's some good matchups here. That North Dakota State, Colorado
Well,
matchup is a Thursday night, but Stanford and Hawaii is like one of the marquee matchups in week 0.
we have a decent little week 0 slate this year. I mean, you have the ACC and Brazil game. You have
TCU, North Carolina.
You have North Dakota State and Jack State. You have USC and I can't remember who they're playing, but you have Memphis and UNLV. But it's not a bad little
That's
week
probably the
0.
best one I can remember, like
Right.
across the board.
It's definitely the
Usually
most
you get like
games.
Delaware State in there somewhere.
Yeah. It makes me think too. I haven't seen anybody proposing this. Would we still have a week 0? I really hope not. I feel like that's a little too early. Like doing the August 17th week 0, like the Aer Lingus Classic being played there. I'm not. I wouldn't want to start that early. That's
Dude,
too
New
much
Mexico. New Mexico's a team that plays week 0 a lot too. If you
for me.
played like early mid-August in New Mexico,
Yeah.
somebody could die on the field. They could
Well,
burn their feet off.
That's the big thing. They're like some of these schools like Florida and them are like raising concerns that it's a health issue. I mean, come on. That
Didn't
Florida
somebody die in Florida? Like practice? Is that am I
maybe. I mean,
misspeaking there?
no, I don't know. I mean, they're still practicing in the heat in August. That Miami Florida game 2 years ago, Cam Ward's senior year, that was hotter than hell, and they played that in the middle of the afternoon in Gainesville. Like the weather's not going to change much from the first week of September,
No.
last week of August. I went to an Iowa State game. I think they played Oklahoma. It was Kyler Murray's senior year. It was the third week of September, and on the field was like 105, 110. So it's just going to happen.
Reese and I attended a Nebraska versus Buffalo game together.
I remember
and
that.
It had to have been 130 degrees out. Like I just remember looking like completely sideways, and I just see the Salvation Army cart doing laps, taking people out of the stadium. That was one of the hotter games I can remember just in my lifetime. But yeah, I mean, recap briefly of the point of recent news. The college football could be played earlier, and you'd be hard to find anybody that's like, no way. Like the later, the better, because we're getting the national championship damn near in February now, people. So the season's long enough. All right, let's leave that there. That's the only piece of recent news we had. Not a lot of big recent news like we've had the last couple of weeks. So let's move into the question of the day. Question of the day, completely opinionated. We want to hear from you. So drop your thoughts in the live chat. If you're here, this question is for all, and we'll give you our takes. The question of the day this week is, if you were introducing someone to college football for the first time, they have to go back and watch one game to get into the sport, what game are you making them watch, Jake?
When I posed this question and I wrote it out, do we put in there also, do we have to give this person like the plot, like leading into the game? Like, hey, yeah, like this is what's happened. This is what the stakes are. Maybe it's a rivalry game. Like tell them the backstory of the rivalry. I don't really know. It kind of goes into my two answers that I do have though.
No, that's fair. I think my answer, my premise would have been I have to be able to give them like a 2-minute breakdown of why this game had an impact, and then let them watch it. So yes.
Then my first answer will be the third Saturday in October, Nick Saban's final year. What was that? 44-41. Tennessee won on a blocked field goal that still just barely grazed the upright and went in. It was just one of those all-time games.
It was like a knuckleball.
Yeah. And it didn't have like huge significance on the entire season. But it was just an awesome game. It's one of my favorite rivalries in the sport. And then you got to kind of show them afterwards, like the entire smoke cloud of cigars that, floods the field afterwards, and just explaining to them what it means when they win that game, and the fan base smokes cigars and all that stuff. Them carrying the goalpost. They carried the goalpost out of the stadium, I think, in that game, if I remember right. It's just kind of one of those weird things. Like,
was that Vanderbilt or was that Tennessee that took it all the way to the river? I think that might have been Vandy in Nashville, but
I think both, because they both have rivers on their stadium. I know Vandy for a fact took this field goal post down Broadway when that was Kalen DeBoer's first year. And then I think they also
Alabama.
Yeah, and I think Tennessee because the river's right outside. I think they took the goalpost to the river, if I remember correctly. So it's just kind of one of those games. Like, it was just an awesome football game. It's not one that's ever going to be on the history
very entertaining
book. Yes. Yeah. So that was my first choice.
Yeah, no, you don't want them to give them like an Iowa Northwestern 2007 6-2, something like that. Just make him sit through that. But there is this person that would enjoy that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I always think of the one game that stands out, and I remember watching it. I was 7 or 8 years old at the time, and I'll still go back and watch it because it was a very similar case. Tight game, close game, high scoring, a lot of firepower on both offenses. How about the Fiesta Bowl, January 1st, 2007? Boise State against Oklahoma. You got the trick plays, the hook and ladders, the Statue of Liberty. I mean, that Oklahoma team was loaded too. But to be able to tell the people beforehand, like, hey, back then, like Boise State, I mean, this was David beating Goliath right here to that extent. But now, granted, Boise State's a hell of a program, still is. But to what Oklahoma was within the Big 12, how dominant they were over that conference, and then to beat them, especially the way they beat them, and then they get to watch after the game. They're college kids, right? So he scores, and the Statue of Liberty goes over, proposes to his cheerleader girlfriend.
Yeah,
there is nothing more college football. So I think that's the game I would tell people to watch. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. What game would you tell somebody to watch to get them into college football?
That's a good one. And I think too, that one, like the bowl opt-outs weren't a thing yet. And you can explain to them like the significance of like what bowl games used to mean. I think Adrian Peterson, Adrian Peterson, like that Oklahoma team was freaking
he was playing
good, man. Oh yeah. That team was good. And Goliath was Adrian Peterson himself. Like there was nobody stopping that guy. Yeah. The hook and ladder to just tie that's an unbelievable one. That's a good one to pull up. If we go back to more recent, I even think it's still one of my favorite games I've ever watched. The Georgia-Alabama game 2 years ago, when Ryan Williams had that, long play to take the lead, and everybody's like, he's 17 years old. Blah, blah, blah. I still think that was one of the better back and forth games I've ever seen. And I think it was it Georgia who built the big lead and Alabama came back, and then Georgia ended up squeaking it out, if memory serves me correctly. That's just two recent games that I think both involve Alabama, but two different eras, I guess you could say, Kalen DeBoer era and a Nick Saban era. But that one was one of my favorite games ever.
It's not crazy to have Alabama in both, right? Because if you're talking about any version of college football, like even to this day, Alabama is still regarded as like that premier program that if you beat it, it is a marquee win for your school's history, even under Kalen DeBoer, just because of the stature Saban had him playing for his ending time there. I'm trying to think of other ones as backups in case you had stole my Fiesta Bowl one. I think there's some ones from the early, like the 2010 to 2014 range, there were so many massive games. But even before that, like the '05 title, Vince Young,
Yeah, that one
yeah,
came to mind.
USC. That's obviously
Regarded as probably the best college football game of all time.
right. And so that's probably the comment we'll get from somebody if they watch this clip later on.
What
But
about, let me ask
there's
you
no
this.
shortage of choices.
A Hail Mary game, a game that ended on a Hail Mary. Does any of those come to mind that you like a college football fan has to watch?
No, like I'm trying to think BYU, Nebraska,
Yeah.
Northwestern Nebraska. So like the ones that jump to mind aren't like the biggest memories. Northwestern Nebraska shouldn't be a game that anybody watches ever at this point. Other Hail Marys. It's a good question. The Flutie ones, obviously.
Yeah. The Cordell Stewart, Colorado one against Michigan was a 94 something.
Oh, I got to pull for Central Michigan Hail Mary to end the game against Oklahoma State on the extra play where he pitched it. That was pretty badass. I can't remember that guy's name. I should know that, but that was incredible.
Those are games though. That's like,
BYU won on Hail Marys back-to-back weeks that year. They beat Nebraska on a Hail Mary.
Really?
They did on the week after.
Yeah. I can't remember a Hail Mary that finished up between two teams that were like, I don't know. That kid doesn't come to mind, but like two teams that are national championship contenders that year. Yeah. And that game had super big significance. A lot of them they ended up going 8-4 or whatever. So like the backstory to it's not great.
Not a Hail Mary, but one that jumps to mind is, you'll have to help me with the year here, Jake, but the Crabtree catch against Texas on the sideline, that Texas Tech game. Yeah. That would be a good one to watch.
That is a great
Texas
one.
Tech was ranked 7th and Texas was number 1. So
a lot of people like Stanford Steve, Ryan Russillo, they've been to every game in America and they still claim that as like the greatest game they've ever been to. That was the greatest atmosphere they've ever been to, was Lubbock at night that year in like that town, and what the energy around that stadium that night was incredible. And I think that's a good one because it does have national championship implications on that game.
One that comes to mind of recency that I should pick, I know I picked way earlier. How about Alabama, LSU in Death Valley, the 2-point conversion to win it?
Jaden Daniels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that game is unbelievable.
Going off of that one, the national title between Clemson and Alabama.
Yep.
Sean Watson.
Which one?
Hunter Renfro. Yeah, the other one didn't. Yeah, you don't want to watch that one. Was it Clemson that blew him out, or the other way
that
around?
Way you can also leave that new fan with the discussion on whether or not the Renfro touchdown was a pick play to win it for Clemson, which it blatantly was. But yeah, that gives them a little talking point after. But that's a good question. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you're introducing someone to college football for the first time, what game are you turning on to get them into the sport? It can be any game in history. Let us know in the comments. Hit the subscribe button while you're there. All right, let's go to the point of tonight's show. We're already 20 minutes in. Let's talk the NFL draft, Jake. I'm going to let you lead this and you kind of kick off the categories because, to be honest, you're way bigger of an NFL guy than I am. To preface, we never talk about it because it's a college football show and we're going to focus on college football players here still, folks. But Jake is an Indianapolis Colts fan.
Sad.
I guess if you had to put a team to my name, I'd be a Minnesota Vikings fan. Maybe that's why I can't be into it, just because it's a history of just sadness. But those are our two teams for when we are discussing these players. There's been some great content going out, a lot of mock drafts. Kicks off tomorrow night, round 1. Kick it off. Tell us what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, Caleb in the comments asking if Pittsburgh picked yet, and I'll say, I think Aaron Rodgers decided he's coming back for a 90th season. So there you go, Caleb. Congratulations.
Is round 1 tonight? I should know this, but yeah. Okay.
No, it's tomorrow. I don't know if Caleb's trolling in the comments. No, I wanted to cover this topic because really I don't consider myself that big of an NFL fan. I love the Colts and I'm super diehard into that.
Hard when you exert yourself on Saturdays the way we do.
Right. And then I watch a terrible franchise on Sunday and my whole weekend's just ruined. So it's hard to get into in the general scope of NFL, but I've been picking up a lot of NFL draft like podcasts this last week or two, and it's just really got me in the mood over other NFL drafts. And it's funny because people are considering this draft class like boring. There's not a lot of good players out there. There's not a lot of superstars, but that's, to the college football fan in me, I think that's what makes this one so intriguing, because I do think you're going to get a couple of first 1 or 2 rounds that are going to be very random. And it's going to be a lot of things you don't necessarily that go against the grain of the mock drafts. I think it's really going to be that crazy when it comes to it. And I think another thing is there are a lot of really good college football players, obviously, but there's a lot of good college football players in this draft that I feel like are going under the radar that people don't know about. Like we'll name some names.
They didn't come from the big school.
That, or just like there's a lot of staple guys who've been around for 4 or 5 years in college football who are really good, but they're not projected in the top 10. So they'll never be good NFL players. And I think there's a lot of people that need to be more informed on some of these dudes. So going off of that, the topics I have down, obviously the biggest lock in the draft, you got your biggest for sure guy who's just going to be a really good NFL player. Late round quarterback gold. We're going to go dive into people outside of Mendoza and Simpson, like who are guys that could maybe start. Favorite player in the draft, just personally, pick a guy you've loved in college who a lot of people are sleeping on that I think will be really good. The most overrated prospect in the draft. Can't wait to get to that one. Who should my team take? I'll just personally list a couple of guys for the Colts that I would love to see. And then I have a last segment. I didn't throw this one on, but we'll get to it. It's what about these guys? There's a lot of guys I found in mock drafts, like second or third round. You're like, man, these are really good college players. Like, what kind of happened to them? So those are the topics we're going to get into. But first one off the rip, biggest lock in the draft, the guy you think is just going to plug and play wherever he goes. It doesn't matter. He's going to be a for sure stud. My guy I went with, first one, was Caleb Downs. And he's projected around the 8, 9, 10 mark. But the narrative around Caleb Downs for the past 3 years since his freshman season at Alabama is like, this is one of the smartest football minds in the game. He doesn't necessarily pop off the page if you're just an average football fan and you're watching, you're like, where's Caleb Downs? But I think it's because, number one, the offenses are avoiding him. And number two, it's just kind of the style he plays. He's not a big hitter, doesn't get a ton of picks, but the guy is as smart as they come. And I think whoever lands him, and you're not, unfortunately, for those first top 5 picks, you'd be kind of dumb to take a safety because a safety is not really going to change your franchise. But Caleb Downs, whoever picks him, I think they just fell in gold into their hands because I think he's going to be awesome right away. And I wouldn't blame a top 5 pick for going with him, but they won't because GMs think they outsmart themselves every year.
Yeah, and I think that's nail on the head because if you look at what he did immediately at Alabama, and then there was no slowing down when he went into more of a defensive-minded conference within the Big Ten. So there really hasn't been like a setback for Caleb Downs. He's been healthy, and he's gotten better over his years, even though he was a stud as a freshman. I think it was just more in the national news because he was a freshman. And I think DB, like safety, it's tough to be that national name because if they're not throwing your way, you're never mentioned. You're not going to hear him on the broadcast every 5 seconds. There's other guys like that, like a D'Angelo Pons that will get drafted. That very
he's
similar
coming
situation.
Up later.
Yeah,
for me. And the thing with Ohio State too, like once he transferred to Ohio State, and he kind of saw this at Alabama, but like Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese are going to be 2 of the top 5, 6, or 7 picks in the draft. And that linebacker defensive line core for Ohio State was freaking loaded. And those are your big top names. And people just forget, like, oh, by the way, they had Caleb Downs, who could be one of the best safeties in the NFL in a couple of years, was just lingering around in the back end, not doing much.
Yeah, it's called having a loaded deck. That is what the Bucs had last year. For my pick, my biggest lock of the draft, and this is a gut feeling because, again, I'm not the most NFL guy, but I try and think of systems where they worked in college football and systems that they're expected to go into, or if, just a passing offense in this case. But I have a really good feeling of what Mekhi Lemon can do in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think he's a lot of the mock drafts I've seen have him around, that 13 to 15 range. Within that 13 to 15 range is Matt Stafford and the Rams. And if this doesn't seem like a very similar fit to Cooper Kupp, then you just haven't watched enough Mekhi Lemon because he was wide receiver 1 at USC. He was double teamed almost every play this season, and they still found ways to get ball because he is an exceptional route runner, exceptional speed. Balls in traffic aren't a problem. So I think Mekhi Lemon for me is like a guy that, as long as he doesn't go to, the Browns, he can find some success within any system and find soft spots in zones, which is run entirely a lot in the NFL. So I like Mekhi Lemon.
I think too, like with the Rams, like with the Puka stuff. I don't know if you've been following that. Like he went to
Yeah.
rehab and he's just been off the rails since his divorce
I've
this
just seen a lot of
offseason.
clips on him, like with X, like just with random streamers, like
Yeah.
people like he's hanging out with Logan Paul. Like, why the fuck is Puka Nacua hanging out with Logan Paul? Like,
He checked into rehab. Did you know that?
I did not shock me, but I did not know that. No.
Yeah. So I don't know what the situation there. So he'd just be like, if he falls into the hands of the Rams, he stays in LA. Like that feels like the perfect fit to me. And a lot of people have Carnell Tate going above him. And not to say Carnell Tate's not a great receiver. He was just overshadowed by Jeremiah Smith. But I don't know. Like I love Mekhi Lemon's game. It just some of the catches he makes is unbelievable.
Yeah, Reuben Bain Jr. is one that feels right to me.
Was on my list too. Yep.
Yeah, I think what the oversharing power he showed in the college football playoff, especially, and all year long, like that's got to be pretty similar to what he's going to face in the NFL.
And I think I saw Jordan Reed for ESPN had him going at 9. And that's one of those things too. We're going to talk about overrated guys and whatever. Like I don't see a world where you let Reuben Bain fall to 9. And I don't get into like the combine stuff and the measurements. I really don't care. And I'm sure it plays a big factor in the NFL. It's why I'm not a GM or a scout, but they're all worried about his arm length. And the biggest argument I'd say is like, well, his arms don't really matter when he's running through your mouth and you can't block him. So I don't get it. If he falls to 9, I don't know who's picking at 9, but just unbelievable how somebody landed him.
I'll give another one since we're on this topic and he doesn't really fit in the other topics we're going to cover, but health pending, I think there's a lot of upside to Jordan Tyson.
Love Jordan Tyson.
I think health pending, if he's 100%, he's as good as what you can find out there for available wide receivers. I don't think people give enough credit because of, his injury-ridden finish. But
yeah,
before that, he was absolutely dominant. And right now I see him mocked to 5 to the Giants. I may have to be all in on the Giants of like Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterbo, Jordan Tyson. It's becoming like the most electric college football players at each position. So
what mock is that? What do you know? You have it pulled up?
No, I do. It's this one comes from Matt Miller and Jeremy Fowler.
Okay. Yeah.
And why I have that in front of me, they also have Bain at 9.
Yeah. That's wild. Jordan Tyson, I like it, but I mean, you said the health stuff. Like he literally didn't finish the last 2 seasons. He missed that Big 12 championship against Iowa State and the playoff game against Texas. And then last year, what was it, the ankle? I think he
played in a little bit of the playoff game against Texas. No, am I mistaken?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he played, if I remember right.
Yeah, he had his injury problems for sure.
Yeah, and they tried to battle through the ankle last year, and they just kind of called it quits. But when he's playing, man, he's so good, and it's his blood too. Like his brother's in the NBA, like it's just an athletic family. So I think you don't go wrong if he's an option.
There's a lot of upside there. All right, let's go to the next category for the NFL draft talk, and that is late round quarterback gold. Now, the way we broke this down in the precursor, if you missed it, is a quarterback on the board that may not be Fernando Mendoza, may not be Ty Simpson, but somebody who could become an NFL starter. Were you thinking start right away, Jake, or are you just saying at some point they're going to start for an NFL team somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, these are going to be guys who I'm assuming are going to go to teams who have a sure starter at this point, but these guys could fall into a scenario where guy goes down or, where the starting quarterback doesn't pan out and it's kind of a dumpster fire and they, you have 4 weeks left in the season, trot out a guy and try something there. And maybe he becomes something of it. I just think this class, and I love Fernando Mendoza. I'm skeptical about Ty Simpson, but it feels like if there's going to be a quarterback that makes it out of this class, I don't think it's those two. I think it's going to be one of those guys that goes 3rd, 4th, hell, maybe 6th or 7th pick or 7th round pick at this point. Like the Colts picked Riley Leonard last year. He's the next
Anybody
guy.
Could become quarterback for the Colts.
Yeah.
They'll just call Phillip Rivers back or something.
Yeah, exactly. But my point is like with Daniel Jones's health injuries, and there's a lot of other teams out there in the same boat. Like if he doesn't pan out, we got to go to a Riley Leonard. Like that's our guy we pick. So who's going to be one of those guys this year? 2 guys for me. I'll do the first one, Sawyer Robertson for me. And that
a lot of upside.
maybe that's the Big 12 homer in me, but I can't believe he's not higher or somebody won't take a chance on him just because he had 50 plus touchdowns. I think it's over 6,000, 7,000
He can
passing
run.
yards.
He's
Yeah.
big.
Yep. Played in a Mike Leach system. He played under Dave Aranda, and like I think the offense that they had, while wasn't great at times defensively, I still think it's a system where it's a quarterback that you can trust. And he kind of navigated the offense a lot because especially in the Mike Leach system, and I know he didn't play a ton at Mississippi State, but it's like a lot of your own reads. It's a lot of your own calls at the line of scrimmage. And I think that could pan over if he learns the right system. So I love Sawyer Robertson. If somebody snags him at 3rd or 4th round, I would be ecstatic about a guy like that.
Yeah, there's a couple names that come to mind for me here. And I don't know if I want to use the one. This might attest to more of our next category.
Because I think I got it.
No, I'm not. There's 2 different ones, and both of them are undersized. And that's their big red flag on the quarterback board. But I'll say Garrett Nussmeier.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that he could be a 4th, 5th round guy as well. That injury works his way into a system and flourishes because he's played at the highest level. He's old. He's older. He's got a ton of experience, especially against good secondaries. I think if you give him a strong wide receiver core, that he can make those throws, and he's got he's got a cannon of an arm. So I think the size is what scouts are really worried about from what I've seen. But I think the experience comes into play, and if he's healthy and he gets a healthy wide receiver core and he steps up for somebody in the right time, kind of like a Riley Leonard could be this year.
Yep.
He could flourish within an NFL offense. I like Nussmeier. There's a lot of hype around that LSU team, man, and especially him.
Well, they came out and said he had like a cyst on his spine or something was his injury. And like anytime he threw the ball, like he had sharp pain in his back. So hopefully he gets that stuff cleared up.
Pop that.
Yeah, I don't, maybe it was, maybe I messed up the injury report, but yeah, I like Nuss. He was one of my guys that were later on, but I'm curious, who's the other guy?
I can't. I'm going to use him in the next category, I think.
Okay. Don't say it. Okay. But
it's going to get me canceled. Yeah, I'm going to say that name.
My guy's not undersized at all. The other one I have is Taylor Green. And this is coming from a guy who thought
user controlled him for 2 seasons.
Well, I was just going to say it's a guy who believed in Anthony Richardson, but that's a whole nother story.
I did too. I was all in. I remember 2 years ago we talked about this same NFL draft topic, and I was all in on Anthony Richardson.
I will say, though, that the difference between Green and Richardson is that Green's played a ton of football, man. Like he started at Boise for a long time. Yep. He started 2 years, played under Bobby Petrino at Arkansas, and everybody's going to go back to they don't think he can help himself with the turnover situation. And I understand that, and that makes sense. But maybe there's a coach out there that can pull back the reins a little bit. And I would also say, character-wise, he's as good as advertised. I watched that Gruden video. It was one of my favorite videos I've ever watched. And I do think, like, people forget to understand the situation he was in at Arkansas where he had to press. Guys, they literally couldn't get a stop at Arkansas. Not one single stop. Their running backs weren't great. And Talon just kind of had to do everything himself. So when you play hero ball for 2 years, you're going to make mistakes. And I think he had that Superman cape on the whole time, and he felt like he needed to make extra plays. Granted, maybe that is just his characteristics, but I think if you're sitting there in the 4th round, 5th round, some people say he's going to fall to the 7th. If somebody grabs him in the 7th round, I think you are just lucky, because I think he can figure out, I believe in it, that he can figure out the turnover situation because people don't understand his situation at Arkansas.
There's a lot of hype floating around this name. How about Joe Fagano?
Yeah. For UConn? Where's he at?
He's not on any mock draft because I'm looking at a lot of round 2 and round 1 stuff in front of me.
Sure.
But he had a 4.8 at the combine, 35-inch vert, broad jump over 9 feet. I know he was like a high Mel Kiper guy when it came to like his scoring system. There's so many metrics that these draft guys use. It almost becomes confusing. Big frame, but that's like that Josh Allen level story in my opinion.
Hot take. I'd rather take Carson back 5th or 6th round than I would Ty Simpson 1st or 2nd.
Wow. I don't know. What turns you off about Ty Simpson? Let me ask you that.
That goes back to the Anthony Richardson argument. The games played, and Ty was good. I don't think he was great. He's only played 13 games in his career. He's still super raw. And I think if you're just spending that on like the Steelers or the Cardinals are options for him, you're going to throw in a guy straight into the Wolves right away. And he's played 12 college football games. He's just going to have to figure it out and be leading an NFL roster. The Steelers, Tomlin's gone. Defense will still be good. Maybe the defense can lead them, but like the Cardinals is a dumpster fire right now. You're really just going to throw. You're just going to throw Ty Simpson out there and tell him to go figure it out. Like, I don't think those situations ever work out. And people forget Carson Beck was a top 5 pick going into his second year at Georgia. Like, that's how highly regarded Carson Beck was. And I have never been a huge Carson Beck fan, but I think there's intangibles that he's played so much football. And I do think he's a smart quarterback. I think he could be a very good backup in this league.
A couple of other names to kind of run down for this category that you may jump out and be like, absolutely not. Luke Altmaier is in this class. Cade Klubnik. Cade Klubnik, I don't know if you've seen these clips floating around.
He's played too much football for me. I'm good.
Dude, the clips floating around of like the Elite 11 before he got into college 14 years ago. He was dominant, like as a prospect camp of like far threw the best ball, ran the fastest. Like this was like, oh man, this Cade Klubnik is going to be the ultimate Heisman Trophy winner in college football. He's listed on here, and we'll see if that happens. That's, to me, that's like a undrafted free agent. Like he'll slip all the way down, but somebody will take him. Probably the Vikings will take him.
He was so highly regarded, and then he just never got that much better at Clemson. Like it was just
there's some old guys on this list, man.
Yeah,
and he's one of them. How about Jalen Daniels? He's available.
He's a camp guy for sure. Jalen Daniels is definitely a camp guy.
Haynes King is out there.
He can't throw the ball.
Baron Morton's out there.
Oh no, I'm good on Baron Morton.
Your favorite quarterback, Drew Aller, is a part of this class.
See there, the Drew Aller thing. It's hard to forget about Drew Aller because again, he was a first round pick a year ago, probably just built on size and some of his throws that he makes, and then he got hurt last year, and it's kind of like but he kind of feels like a Carson Beck situation. Like maybe he does become a 5th or 6th round pick, and he becomes a really good backup in this league for a little bit.
It could be that way. All right, let's go to the next category. Let's go to favorite player in the draft. Now, explain what you meant by this question. You mean just like a guy you're hoping the best for, a guy that's a steal? What are you thinking when it comes to this answer?
A little bit of an underrated prospect, in my opinion. A guy that needs more love, a guy that NFL fans didn't really hear of him in college, that kind of thing. And it could be a first round pick, late first round. I don't see this guy being like a top 10 pick or anything, but second round. Anyways, my pick is D'Angelo Ponce. I absolutely love D'Angelo Ponce. And it's all because he's an undersized corner, but this guy's a freaking winner. And when he guards people, they don't catch the ball and they don't get open. And you can throw me all that stuff about, combine, height, all that good stuff. And I understand he's going to be guarding the best of the best. But when it came down to it, sometimes you just got to trust a football player, and D'Angelo Ponce is just a certified football player to me.
Yeah, he is, and I told the story before on this channel.
Maggie going crazy.
Yeah, she's whipping a pig toy around, and I was just like, "Hey, can you just take her collar off? We'll save us a lot of background noise here." As she's getting chased around right now. But this tough. We battle through the elements here on the show. But speaking of this show, there is an actual story I've told here before, but just for any new listeners, we actually have history of D'Angelo Ponce's family on this channel. I previewed Nebraska, Indiana 2 years ago, and that was when they absolutely dismantled Nebraska in that game. And he was pegged to be matched up against Isaiah Neyor, who is in the NFL. And a decent receiver, and he was a good receiver at Nebraska. And I was like, this size matchup, mark this down. Like Nayer's 6'6", and Pons is 5'9". Like we just got to throw the ball up. His aunt, I believe, was in our comments. Like, no, you just got it wrong.
Yeah,
and I even went back after the game, and I was like, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. Hand up accountability. I took it.
I was
because she
unfamiliar with your
right.
game.
Yeah, I was completely unfamiliar with 5'9" D'Angelo Ponce's game. So I think that's a fair pick to put him there. My favorite player in the draft, and this was the name. What name did you think I was going to say in the last category?
Not Diego Pavia, right?
It's Diego Pavia.
Oh my God.
I think Gruden's QB class, if you watch, shameless plug, free ad for him. If you don't watch Gruden's QB class, you should. One, it's fun to listen to John Gruden talk to these guys, but also you learn a little bit about these quarterbacks too. I've said this before, but I think there was no better scenario for Vanderbilt trying to become a relevant program in college football than Diego Pavia playing there, because he absolutely does not care what anybody thinks of that school, franchise now, or team. He's like going to be himself and get the most out of what he can do. Like, as much as you may hate him as a human being or as a player or as a social media presence or what he does off the field, like, there is no denying 3,600 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 8 picks in the SEC, with pretty much your only noted player being a tight end.
Correct. I don't hate Diego Pavia.
He could keep proving people wrong to the moon. If no matter if he goes in the 4th or 5th round, which he probably will. Like, he's that guy that all of a sudden you look up and he's running around like Kyler Murray.
I haven't looked up where he's going to be projected. I would be really surprised if somebody took a 4th or 5th round pick on him, to be honest with you.
You think it's going to be later?
Yeah, because I think he fell into the right system. They brought over Jerry Kill with him from New Mexico State to Vandy to kind of make him comfortable. The offense was built around him, and he was really good at doing it. And there are guys we just look back at some days, like Tim Tebow's a good example, like guys who just weren't NFL quarterbacks, but were great college players. The system worked. Their play style matched up in college really well. Hard-nosed runner, great locker room guy, didn't give a shit. I love it all about Diego Pavia, and I don't think you nailed it. The guy to, start this Vanderbilt resurgence, you couldn't have picked a better player than Diego Pavia, but I don't know where his game translates in the NFL whatsoever.
I mean, why? He can sling it. He can run. It's not like he was throwing to Jeremiah Smith at Vanderbilt.
Right.
Like, system aside, I mean, he had to throw to guys that you couldn't name.
Eli Stowers is the guy I'll bring up later.
Tight end.
Yep, I get it. I don't know. I don't feel like his arms is going to be as big as it could be in the NFL.
The size is obviously a worry. Like, the guy, he is 5'10", if you want to give it.
On a good day, man. Like that Gruden thing.
We just talked about Ponce.
But two different positions. Like, he's not out there tackling people, and that's another thing. Like, he's kind of got a little bit of Jackson Dart to him. He wants to run through people. That's kind of how he runs the football. And
good luck.
Yeah, good luck in the NFL, man. Like, I don't see that working out for you.
Yeah. Okay.
There's also, it's slight ignorance to it. Like, the confidence is awesome, but also a slight ignorance. Like, you're going to be the low guy.
That level where you almost reach the stupidity level of confidence is useful for guys. Because in no way, shape, or form should a 5'10" guy ever go play at Vanderbilt and have any sort of success, system aside. But he did. So I think there's a slight edge to him. I would like to see that story. It's almost like a Johnny Manziel revamp that we can actually see maybe work out. Or
hopefully
it can come crashing down.
Hopefully he actually works out, watches film, like does the football stuff.
Like, he does his
Manziel.
job.
Yeah.
Does his basic job duties. Yeah, that would be probably a good place to start. All right, let's go to the last category. Is it last or maybe two more? Yeah, sorry.
We got two more.
Next category I have down, and then we'll go to the final one, which we'll have to punch in. Who is the most overrated prospect in this 2026 draft class, Jake?
I think my Hawkeye friends can rejoice in doing this. I think it's Caden Proctor.
Wow.
You can't be a guy who's got intangibles as good as he is, as athletic as he is. They did numerous things with him, like catching touchdown passes, giving him the football. But his job is going to be to play offensive tackle in the National Football League. And to play offensive tackle in the National Football League is a top 3 position as far as importance. And you can't take plays off. And I feel like Caden Proctor does a lot of that. There's at times where he dominates the game and does what he's supposed to. But it always felt like, what did he play, 3 years at Alabama?
Yes.
Because he got thrown into the Wolves right away as a freshman, took took his lumps. I think he played 3, if I remember right.
Might have been there for 3 years. Yeah, I don't know. JP would know.
So freshman year, took his lumps. It's going to happen. Freshman tackle, playing true freshman in the SEC. Like, I can give him some grace there. But just as the seasons went on, you just never really saw him take those next steps. And I think he was also some of the problem that all Alabama couldn't run the football last year.
Yeah.
If you have a guy like that, you should be able to get on the edge and be able to run block. And I know the offensive line is a whole unit, and that was a lot of the problem. But if you're a locker room guy, if you're the anchor of the offensive line like Caden Proctor, why wasn't the offensive line more productive last season at Alabama? I just can't get that out of my head.
I think that's fair. Offensive tackle is obviously a very tough position to be like, yeah, this is going to be a dominant force now within the sport, like a Joe Alt was projected to be. And I don't know if Caden Proctor has that, because we've seen some down moments from Proctor. Like, I guess are both on that, Midwest football Twitter where you get the burners out there constantly posting clips of people who chose outside of their school's failures. And Proctor was one of those guys where it was
his low lights were showed.
Yes, very often, at least on our algorithms. For mine, I went with, I feel like maybe I've highlighted a short guy and now I'm going to pick on one. But Zachariah Branch for me, as a late round draft prospect, even that doesn't make sense. Like, this is, in my mind, an undrafted free agent pickup by $1 million.
Whoa. I don't know about all that.
We've seen non-existent Zachariah Branch games versus a lot of the wide receivers listed here. He's very short. I've heard the comparison. Somebody said, it's like a Tyreek Hill style player, right? Mm-hmm. Extremely fast.
They always call him the Tyreek Hill of college football. That was his biggest comparison.
Which is why it's probably going to piss some people off that he's on this list. But there were games where he was unheard of at USC, and he kind of got lost in the stars at Georgia. There were games where he wasn't an explosive player. Now, punt return, special teams could really save him. That seems like a spot he'll always flourish in. Mm-hmm. But making a wide receiver roster for me sounds extremely far-fetched for Zachariah Branch. So I think this would be your overrated prospect in the draft. I don't want to say he's like an automatic bust, because I think it's complete guess game when it comes to that. But in my opinion, for guys that are highly regarded and were always highly touted when it came to recruiting, Zachariah Branch fits the narrative, a guy that I think you can wait on.
His USC tape isn't great, but I was encouraged by his production in Georgia was a lot better. But yeah, I've seen him as far as like early second. Yeah, you're taking a big shot on a guy like that.
A leap at early second. You should take Diego Pavia instead.
I don't know about
one short guy for the next.
Yeah, I don't know.
People turn this off. Like, any NFL fan that turned the show on is now turning it off. They're like, these assholes. I've watched.
We know college football. We watch the college football games. We don't watch the NFL.
Diego Pavia was a significantly better player in college football than Zachariah Branch was.
This is true.
Flat out fact.
This is true.
All right, Jake. What's the last category we're moving on to?
I just had I had what about these guys? We'll list a couple, but the real one I have is who should my team take? Colts don't have a first round pick. Some people don't give a crap about what the Colts are going to take in the second round, but I have a list of 3 guys. Pons was one of them. I would love to see Pons. I've seen Jacob Rodriguez in mock drafts. He's not on my list. Wouldn't be mad if they didn't take him, because I do think they need help at linebacker. But I listed 2 guys. Number one is Ted Hurst, Georgia State wide receiver. He's every bit of 6'6", 6'7". Yeah, I said it. And this could end up being, this is a class of wide receivers that's really good. And I think he could be the best one. I think his speed and his ability on the outside at his length is unbelievable. And I know Colts have a guy like Alec Pierce, but they need another guy like it. If they want to play fast and they want to have big shots and explosive plays, I think Ted Hurst would be phenomenal. I love Ted Hurst. And my other pick was, this is biased completely, but still need help at this position, and be defensive tackle and Dom Orange for Iowa State. Now that's more of like a 3rd round pick if it falls to you. But I think defensive tackle is not as sacred as edge rushers. Clearly, edge rushers there's going to be 10 of them picked before maybe a first defensive tackle in this draft.
but I think he's going to be underrated and could be really good at defensive tackle.
I feel like this is a loaded question because how realistic do I have to be about my team getting this player? Like, do you want me to be like, he'll be there by the time it's time?
Well, just name it and see. I'll tell you if it's realistic.
Well, it's not realistic. I know for a fact it's not realistic because my flat out answer would be I would love for the Vikings to trade up to pick 4 or 5 and get Jeremiah Love, but they're not going to.
See, I wouldn't trade up to 4 or 5. And that's another argument people are making is like, do you take Love at 4 or 5? And I think it was Bill Simmons who gave a couple of answers about like 4, 5, 5th round or 4 or 5th overall selection running backs. And the lists have been not great. But then like that 8 to 9, 10 sweet spot is like McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, like those guys. I wouldn't take Jeremiah Love in the top 5, but he very well could go to Arizona at 3. So if I'm the Viking,
I think he goes 5th to Tennessee.
And Tennessee would be a good spot to get a running back. But again, Tennessee in my mind needs so much more than a running back. I
feel like the Vikings are in
Jeremiah
that spot.
Love.
The Vikings are going to have Kyler Murray playing quarterback and JJ McCarthy. Like you could say I want a quarterback, but I don't know if there's any quarterback in this class where I'm like, yeah, that's a for sure. That to me, the top of the class, because I could have put this in there and this would have sent everybody into a spiral. But I would have been okay if somebody would have come on the show and been like, I feel like Fernando Mendoza is a little bit overrated in people's opinion.
Yeah.
I would have been okay with people saying that. I really would have, because I think the system flourished him as much as you think the system flourished Diego Pavia.
And this is I think it's just a repercussion. I think the Raiders have no choice. Like they signed Kirk Cousins. They got rid of Geno Smith. Like I don't think they have a choice right now. They need a quarterback. And Mendoza is a good option. Like I said, that's why I did that late round quarterback gold topic, because I don't think Mendoza will be the best quarterback in this draft. But we're college football experts. We're not we're experts, but we're not NFL guys. So to your point about Love, it would be interesting. I just don't know what the Vikings would give up to.
I hope he like Shadur level falls to like the Vikings in the 4th round.
You're not trading Justin Jefferson. Like you'd have to give up something huge to get that 5th pick or 4th pick or whatever it is. I just don't know if the Vikings can afford to give anything up like that.
The Vikings projected, I've seen it's a lot of defensive back projections that I've seen the Vikings get, and one of them is Dylan Thieneman, if he's still available when it comes to pick 18. I wouldn't hate that at all. I think he's an elite player that
reminds me of a Harrison Smith.
Lafayette. Yeah, which Harrison Smith is now 40 years old, so you're going to have to replace him at some point, and quite literally might be the best replacement you can find for him is a sure. Yeah, okay. We all get what I'm saying there.
Yeah.
Dylan Thieneman would be pretty good in my opinion. So I'd be okay with some of the mock drafts I've seen. Other than that, I've seen the Toledo kid. I'm blanking on his name. Emmanuel McNair Warren, right?
Yep.
And then Chris Johnson from San Diego State. So there's going to be some smaller school guys here that have a chance to go 1st round if some picks don't fall people's way, as there always is. Because I think just one came last year out of the G5, just out of the Mountain West.
In the 1st round would be being Ashton Genty.
Yeah.
You might be right in saying that. That'd be interesting. I've seen that San Diego State kid kind of like late 1st round. It'd be interesting because like I don't know.
Toledo kid's got some swirling too. I mean, he was a dog. So
yeah, he's awesome. And then they got Kenyon Mitchell a couple years ago from Toledo. Like Toledo's been producing these defensive backs like it's a real thing. But it'll be interesting to see if that San Diego State kid makes the 1st round or if there is a G5 narrative to his name. I hope not. You want to see these G5 guys who stuck at their schools picked higher because it rewards stuff like that. And it's more examples relating it back to college football that say, don't hit the portal. It doesn't always need to be you hitting the portal to make a name for yourself.
One name I keep seeing pop up that I'm just curious in your opinion before we wrap everything up tonight. Where do you land on like the general look and feel of an NFL tight end in Kenyon Sadiq?
See, a lot of people are infatuated with his physical traits.
Yeah.
What was he like? Tampa Bay is kind of a list for him. Yeah, he would be good. As a Colts fan, I've been infatuated on picking tight ends the last couple of years. I wanted Brock Bowers 2 years ago, and I wanted Tyler Warren last year. And Tyler Warren is warranted so far. I feel like he's living up to the 1st round hype. I don't know if Sadiq's as good as Warren or Bowers.
No shot.
I don't
No
think
shot.
so. That's kind of what the category I'm putting him in is like, because he's the high tight end in this draft. Like Eli Stowers is going to be a late second round.
I'd take Stowers before him.
I love Eli Stowers. So that's where I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on Sadiq. If he falls like, in the mid-20s, then maybe somebody gets a steal at him. But like, I don't think he's Brock Bowers
in this one to the Panthers.
Okay.
It feels like, it really feels like he falls to 20 and goes to the Cowboys and is just irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like that would be a very Cowboys level first round pick. There's some interesting ones on here, man. Obviously it's a mock draft, right? There's 1,000 different ones out there. I've seen some worry about Casey Concepcion.
Yeah.
Going to the Bells. The Bills, I don't know. With DJ Moore, again, not an NFL show, but there's some red flags there.
I have my one bet I have going on tomorrow night is under 5.5 receivers picked in the first round. I got that at plus 130, I think. And
Guys, they're giving you 5 picks to work with. You got to feel great about that.
Yeah, well, you're saying 6 receivers are going to get picked, and your for sure's are going to be.
You're saying under.
Yeah, I took the under.
Okay, so you're saying you get 5 of them before you got to worry?
So yeah, your for sure's are going to be Lemon, Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson. Like I think those 3 are going to get picked top 15 no matter what. But then it's like your Casey Concepcion's. I feel like I'm missing one. I mean, like Jeremy Bernard is a guy who's kind of sitting around. Maybe he gets like that last pick. I don't think he would go to Seattle. I don't think that's what Seattle needs. But like, there's these. I feel like I'm missing one more.
Denzel Boston.
Denzel Boston's going to be sitting around from Washington. I still feel like I'm missing one more guy that's been kind of. But that's what I'm saying. Like after those 3, Mark Cooper Jr. That was the other one.
Yeah.
He's kind of late or later-ish first round. So Concepcion's going to be one of those guys that breaks or busts my draft bet tomorrow night on receivers because it's like him. But I mean, I still got hit. If him and Cooper get drafted, it's one more. Like will Denzel Boston or Jeremy Bernard go very, very late first round? We'll wait and see. But I think this receiver class is really good, but I'm not sure.
All right, let's leave that there. That's all the draft talk that you'll hear on this show. We may recap it, give some thoughts and some takes, give some updates on this if we can get to that point here next season. But we don't talk the NFL often, so we had to come on, run the Kobe Shaq combo on the week of JP's wedding and talk a little NFL draft. So that will be live tomorrow night. Make sure you tune in and see how right or wrong we were. Hit the like button on this video. Hit the subscribe button. Want to give a special shout out to our great partner over at No Rivals. ShopNoRivals.com. Code PTFS at checkout for free shipping. You can see the hats Jake's pointing to. I got the North Texas cap on myself. It's golf season's right around the corner. Gear up for it. Support your college teams. Code PTFS at ShopNoRivals.com. We'll see you next week. Maybe a more loaded crew. Jake, we love you. Take it away.
Appreciate you, Parks. Congratulations to Jordan. See you next week. Let's play it.